All right, so we're gonna go over the drill that we've been using this week. This is just a back retention drill that we use when we're kind of switching from one side to the other. We're gonna start on the strong side when we go, so our head's gonna be on the top side, which is gonna elicit one sort of way of pulling the person to the other side. And then when we go to the weak side, it's just gonna be slightly different. So this is something we've been working on, and it's gonna be the drill for the next couple of weeks. So we'll get it going. So I'm gonna have Ty sitting in front of me, and this is my favorite drill to retain back control. So once we get in this position, we wanna do everything we can to maintain it. And so this works really nicely to set up a body triangle on the other side. So we'll kind of have a look at that, but this works really cool in a warm-up setting where you just go from one side to the other and just retain back control back and forth. So I'm gonna start off with my hooks in place, regular hooks, and I've got a seatbelt, and we're gonna fall to this right-hand side. So Ty's gonna tip to the right, so my head is now on the top side here. So whenever we get this position, if we keep our hooks in place, Ty can then escape his bottom hook and start to get his butt and shoulders to the mat. So go flat, there we go. So he starts to get his butt and shoulders flat to the mat. So when I'm on the top side, I actually kind of like to just take my hooks out and use my chest and sternum to roll the person kind of back towards their turtle. From here, I'm gonna slide my right knee up the shoulder. I'm gonna step my left foot right in front of the hip, and then I'm just gonna do a chair sit. I sit to my butt, and then we kind of teeter-totter to the other side. And now, because of my foot position, I'm in a nice spot to either work for my modified body triangle, or if I can fit it, I can go for my full triangle. So now I've got a little bit more control in this back position than I did in the past. For the sake of the drill, what we've been doing is then putting our hooks back in place, and now I'm on the weak side. So now my head's on the bottom side, and so Ty's gonna do the exact same thing. He escapes his bottom hook, and he starts to flatten out. Now from this position, again, I need to do this, just lift this up for a second. I need to get this going before his shoulder actually gets flat to the mat. If it does get flat, I'm gonna have a little bit of a harder time retaining this position. But for this side, I like to keep my hook in place here. And with my hook in place, I'm gonna take my bottom leg out and drive off the toes, pulling my elbows around so that I can get him closer to a belly down position. I like to get nice and high into a tripod. It just puts weight onto my arms and chest, makes it a little bit harder for Ty to move from here once I get top position. And then I'm gonna slide my knee up his back, and I'm gonna use that to pull him over. So I pull, and we do a little bit more of a barrel roll as we come to the other side. And as we do, I can then work to get my bottom hook up and put my foot in place to get my body triangle. So once again, we'll do one side and then the other. So I'm starting off in rear mount, boom, seatbelt in place. We tip to the head on top position. Ty escapes. I take my legs out. That way I can just drive off the mat. I slide my right knee up high toward his shoulder. My left leg comes over. I step right in front of his hip, sit to my butt, come around, and now I've got my opportunity at the body triangle. Put my hooks back in place for the sake of the drill. He's gonna escape the bottom hook. In this scenario, I like to keep my right leg in the guard, basically, like in Ty's half guard. I push him up using my chest and elbows. I never disconnect my hands. I get into a nice high tripod, and then my right shin comes to his back, and I'm just gonna start to use that leverage to pull him over to the other side. Take my top foot, feed my bottom leg up, and I've got my modified body triangle, or again, I can lock in my full triangle if my legs are long enough, and if the waist of my partner is a size that I can wrap my legs around. So it's a little variation from one side to the other, and when we're doing this, typically we wanna kinda move straight away. We don't wanna let the person kinda get too far ahead of us, so it should be a little bit more of a fluid motion as you're actually using this in a live setting. But my favorite drill here to retain the back is this, so you can continue to attack in what can be considered the best position in Jiu-Jitsu.